Oh, hello. It's been a while since I've recorded a video. I thought I would do an update on the Greatbassoon project. Um, so, let's talk about the bell today. This is the first complete bell I printed. This is in PLA plastic, and it's super heavy. Um, and Well, with it being so heavy, it's going to cause some weight issues. So this was a prototype, but I decided I'm going to do some more experimenting with it. And I printed an entire Greatbassoon in ABS plastic. However, we had an issue with the ABS. And appropriately, or maybe not appropriately, weirdly, I took the ABS Greatbassoon to an instrument repair tech to have him look it over and kind of get some ideas on some things. And as I take it out of it, when I was carrying it in, as soon as I put the bell and the bass joint on the counter of the repair store, both of the joints shattered into multiple pieces. This is what remains of the ABS bell. Not good. So, had to really reconsider the design because I can't have an instrument that shatters. And one of the issues with the ABS is its layer adhesion. And there were some bad layers in this, which caused it to catastrophically fail. And the long joint, the bass joint, did exactly the same thing. So I really couldn't have that as an option. So I had to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, what is a better way of doing this? And I really made the decision that while ABS is lighter than PLA, PLA is going to be a little bit stronger in this instance. However, there's an issue with PLA plastic in that it doesn't chemically bond like ABS will. ABS, you can literally weld it together using acetone. There's a seam running right here that you can see. It did not break at the seam. That is chemically welded together there using acetone. PLA won't do that with common materials. However, I have recently discovered a glue that has a chemical in it that will chemically weld PLA together. So that's on order, and I should have it here early next week, which means that I'm going to fully shift everything over back to PLA plastic, which was the original design. ABS is just too difficult for me to work with. And this is a conversation Richard Bobo and I have had many times. He is a big advocate of ABS because it does have some really good properties, and the big one is being able to chemically weld the two parts together. But if I'm going to be able to do that with PLA plastic, problem solved. PLA is easier to print, it has better layer adhesion, and I have absolutely no layer adhesion problems with the PLA bell that I originally printed. Now, because I had to go back to the drawing board and redo some things, decided to make some updates to the bell. One thing you'll notice here on the bell is that there is a spot up here to take a bell ring. So we decided, Jared and I, we designed a bell ring. Actually, we designed two. The first one, it turns out, while big, wasn't big enough. So we made an even bigger one. And so I've got a bell ring here. So this is actually done in a PLA wood mix mixed with Paduke wood. And so it's like 30% wood, 70% PLA. And this will sit on top of the bell. I also started looking for a different color because, black can be nice, but bassoons, typically aren't black unless you're dealing with a polypropylene plastic bassoon. So I found a PLA that is maple colored. It is not a wood PLA like the bell ring here, because in my experience, wood PLA mixes tend to be pretty porous, and I don't want any porosity in the great bassoon. So I want something that is pure plastic. To that effect, this is the upper part of the bell in, believe it or not, a PLA plastic. It is a matte finish. This has been sanded smooth. And it really looks like wood. In fact, I have actually done a few experiments to see if this plastic will stain, and lo and behold, it will take a stain. So I'm going to do some experiments in staining this to look just like a regular stained bassoon. But of course we didn't stop there. Jared and I have had long conversations and design sessions talking about the best way to attach the keys to the instrument. One of the things that we realize is the standard bore wall thickness on this instrument is 5 millimeters all the way through. Now there are some variations in that. The bell, you can see there is a thickening here, the standard kind of bulb out. That's just a thickening of the wall. It's not an interior cavity. But by and large, throughout the instrument, the walls are 5 millimeters thick. Started looking at places to source posts. There is a supplier in Germany that will source all the posts we need. However, the thread on those posts is 4.5 millimeters, which means that there's going to be a 0.5 millimeter tolerance between the post threaded length and the wall thickness. And I don't know about you, but 0.5 millimeter is not enough tolerance for me to work with. So we started some other ideas. The first idea was to put the post on little risers. And so basically you'd have a little riser sticking up above the instrument and just screw the post into that. Ideally either threaded into the plastic itself or with a heat set insert. That was a really good idea, but then we started looking at the price. The posts were going to be $4 each. On the bell alone, there are 6 posts. 2 for the low B flat key and 4 for the low A key. And so that would be $12. I mean, not a huge amount, but as we start getting throughout the instrument, we're looking $200 to $300 just for posts. And I want to keep the cost of the prototype down as much as possible. So we made a decision. Well, what about trying to integrate the posts into the body? Now, there's some issues with that. Is the post going to be strong enough? So we tested it out and printed a part with an integrated post. And lo and behold, turns out they're pretty strong. In fact, I did a drop test. I dropped the test joint from over my head, 7.5 feet in the air. Dropped it right onto hard surface. Nothing. Strong as can be. In fact, probably as strong as a regular metal post, because the metal post would just rip out of the wood. The post itself wouldn't be damaged, but the wood would. So, with that, we decided let's integrate the post into the body. One, it's going to save money on production costs, meaning it's just going to be a few extra cents per joint for the material needed. Two, it's going to save weight. And when we're talking an instrument that's 6.5, 6'8" tall, feet tall, weight will be a determining factor. So we want to keep this as light as possible while still mechanically sound. So we started looking at how to best do this, and I am really happy with what we've come up with. So this is the middle joint of the bell, and you can see here the post, and what you will see is there is a nylon bushing right here. This, and in fact, I have the first part of the key attached here. There's a nylon bushing on this side. There's a nylon bushing on the inner side of it. And then where the screw goes in, there's a heat set inset. So on this post here, two nylon bushings, one on the outer side, one on the inner side, and then a heat set insert. I've got the rod going through, screwed in, and now I have a brass tube cut out that onto that brass tube will be soldered the key for the low A. I've also got the same thing here on the bottom. So the exact same setup here. I've got that. I've got now this long rod here. This is for the low A key, and I've got it now where it's rotating and moving very, very nicely. And put all together, we will end up looking like this. And we've got the posts integrated into the body. The first keywork is now being attached to the Greatbassoon bell. You also notice these little channels here. These are to accept the flat spring for the low B flat and the low A key. We now have what will be a completed bell once the new glue arrives. So I'm waiting. That's due to be shipped, due to arrive on Monday. And what I'll do is we'll put alignment pins in here. So there'll be 4 spots here. Those are going to take alignment pins, and what we're going to use for alignment pins are 2mm threaded rod. That threaded rod will be able to catch on to the glue and adhere a little bit easier. It'll also provide some strength. There won't be any twisting that will be needed to be done. And I'll have the whole bell assembly completed minus the key arms and pad cups. Yeah, the other thing that we've added is this decorative ring down here at the bottom. And this is because the wall here without this ring would be super, super thin for the tenon, for the socket here. So the top of the bass joint will go in here, but this was going to be only about 1.5 millimeters thin, and really wanted that to be a lot thicker. You can hold on to that, and there's no compression. It's really, really stable here. So I'm super, super happy with the progress of the bell. The next step is we're going to do the same process for the bass joint and put the integrated posts into the bass joint. And then I'll have the keys cut and made. And I spent probably an hour or 2 hours last night cutting the rods and the hinge tube. I had someone thread the hinge tube for me, but it's all perfect and ready to go. And I'll also start doing some CAD work on the best shape for the key arms. But again, that should be pretty simple. So, Greatbassoon now has key work on it, and I could not be happier with this. I absolutely love the look of this. It's light. The whole bell now in this material is considerably lighter than the original PLA bell. This was super heavy. Even with the metal on here, this is going to be lighter than the original bell. Win-win all around. Cheaper, lighter, and in fact with the nylon bushings, nylon being a really slippery surface, means that the keys will have to be oiled less. There's less surface for them to drag on. So it reduces friction on that. Again, a win-win scenario. Like I said, I am really just super happy with this, and hopefully soon we'll start seeing more and more parts of the Greatbassoon get built with keys on them. Let me know what you think. Comment down below, like, share it, you know, all those standard YouTube things that I never say to do. But thank you guys so much, and I will update. I may do another update when I get the whole bell assembly complete. But until next time.